One. Hello, Culture Matters podcast. You are in for a treat today. Before I introduce you to our guest, here is a quote just for this episode. Teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments toward organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. Andrew Carnegie, our guest today, is a winner, a friend, a team builder, a lover of people. I'm about to give the commencement speech. That's how much I love this person. They are, man, so many people follow them, their example, a relationship builder, in an industry that, in my view, primarily, desires leadership. Our guest today is someone that leads people. They show up, they make it happen. They're a friend of the Culture Matters podcast. I consider them a friend. Episode 184. They've been on the show since basically the beginning. They've more than put up with me for now years.
3
years. And we can go with the accolades, going from car financing to the mortgage industry to helping so many people, not just people get into homes to achieve the American gift, but actually lead, the advisors, the mentors to the brokers, right? Because a leader of executives, of account executives, of leaders in an industry, right? The mortgage industry. Our guest today, the one and only, I feel like a wrestler match here, Kenny Phillips, back again.
Listen, thank you. How fitting, though. You know, it's funny you say that, the wrestling. First of all, thanks for the kind words in the intro. Appreciate you. Definitely a friend of yours and a friend of Culture Matters. And, your wife, you guys took me in, I guess, my first day that I talked to you guys in Atlanta when I was with Eddie at the house. And I didn't know who you was. It was just a general conversation. And I remember the day and you was asking me questions and we kind of conversed for a little while. And then went to dinner, and then you and Jenna brought me home. But I never knew what your position was in the organization, but it was truly warm and welcoming. And I appreciate that day, and I appreciate you still to the day.
Yeah, that was an amazing memory. Think like how far we've come, and just like how important in your mind are the relationships to your business over the years? Because the reason I'm asked this is every time I come to your office, I get hit with this wave of like, it can't really explain it. Maybe we could unpack that a bit. Just like a bond.
Yeah.
A bond. So how important has relationships been throughout your career?
Relationships, everything, honestly. A lot of the guys that we bring on and work with, they're here forever. They're lifers. It's kind of what you talk about and what you teach. It's really about the culture. It's developing that culture that people can, live by and actually have similar ideals and goals, where they want to be. And it's always not about work with us. We built our culture around family, what's important to you. And really, when we start interviewing people, asking them where they want to go, everyone's not going to be a top producer. Everyone's not going to be a bottom producer. Sometimes family is more important. Some people need to work from home, whatever it is, and really finding that personal description of what they want to do with their career. Obviously, setting high goals and expectations and make sure you meet the minimum standards of an organization is important, but also the personal goals are important as well. And I think we've built something special over the years. And here again at EPM, as a sales organization, that I kind of look like, from the outside, there's like a kind of like a force field around it, right? And the person that doesn't fit the culture is probably tough to penetrate or permeate that culture and get inside. But the unfortunate thing is about culture, from the inside, it's almost like a cell. It's like a cell almost where it's susceptible to disease. Whether it's you want to, use the analyzation of cancer or something like that. Now something gets in and it can affect the culture and sometimes kill the culture. So you got to be careful of that as well. So, but I think we've done a great job minimizing, the disease or the susceptibility of something coming in and affecting our culture long term.
I love that metaphor. So disease, right? Dis-ease. What are some things in a sales organization that can create dis-ease or like, throw people off or throw teams off? Like, yeah, from your experience, what are some habits or behaviors or thought, attitudes that can create dis-ease or
It's yeah,
disorder?
disease is usually from underperformers. It's usually from new employees with past experiences from past companies that want to come on board and have the best of both worlds. They want what the previous lender that or employee they had, the best of them plus what we offer. And sometimes that's not possible. And when they come in, they start to spread the negativity. They're not finding success. They're complainers, right? They're behind the scenes chirping in, other AEs ears. Somebody might be new to the company or someone else is struggling, and it kind of gives them a crutch. And I think that negativity can run deep, especially in your bottom 20 or 30% of your employees.
For those that don't know what an account executive is, let's talk about the roles for a second. What
Sure.
is
Account executive is someone who goes out and builds relationships with clients, not just in mortgages, obviously, it's other industry as well. Their job is to go out to build that bridge between the organization and that consumer.
Hmm.
And it's a business to business.
When it comes to the relationship, what are some values that you say is be important for an account executive to live out to best serve the people that the people that they serve?
Yeah.
You know,
Knowledge is number one. I think knowledge of your product. I think being knowledge and being the resource that they can count on, responsiveness. I think that's critical. And no one wants to wait for an answer. And that's the competitive nature of our business and most businesses. If you get them the answer first, regardless of price or speed or anything like that, I think you're more apt to win a deal or
Mhm.
put the business in. And consistently, not just once. I think over time, if you continue to, respond quicker, answer your phone and get back to people with the right information in a prompt manner, I think that
Mhm.
wins the business and starts to build a relationship. Obviously, price in any organization is important, whatever you're selling. But some of the things that close the gap is service, speed, knowledge, and obviously personality. Personality is big.
Are there personalities that do better than others, or is it contextual? Like some
There's
curious.
personalities that match depending on the organization that you're selling. It's funny. You have some people that like to talk professional. Some people like to, jokingly bust chops. There's that kind of relationship. And sometimes, myself and other leaders, we have to swap accounts out based on that. Hey, guess what? It may not be a good fit here. We sell the same product, the same results, but the personalities don't match. And it happens often. It happens often. It happens to me. I know Kevin Delory always said it before, like, he doesn't do good down south sometimes because he talks too fast. Somebody else might do well. So it's that kind of, that mesh that you need to find that balance. So where do you fit in? And you'll
Uh,
find it quickly, honestly.
I'm reminded of like a matchmaker.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely. It's just like a matchmaker. 100%. And that's our job as leaders and executives to monitor that. Why aren't we getting the business? Is there a mismatch in personality? Is it a time zone or a region, or is it, my Boston accent?
Are there? Well, yeah, I love that. There's when it comes to responsiveness, are there what has worked over the years for you to be as responsive as possible? Balancing the fact that there's other responsibilities that people have in their lives. If it's if responsiveness is so high in value, how do you balance that with life outside of work?
Yeah, I think you define the time, honestly. Sometimes longer days, sometimes shorter days. But if you want to be successful in any industry, you don't want to wait. You don't want people waiting for you. I know I don't have patience. We just kind of talked about it off air about ADD a little bit. Like, I don't like to wait. I want something now. I want it yesterday. I want to find out the answer, the reason. And I think most people do,
Mm,
especially when in the mortgage industry, when you're making the biggest purchase of your life. You think something's wrong if you don't get a response.
mm.
Now, now what happens? Oh, maybe my income documentation didn't work, or the loan officer saying this is my only loan for the month. I didn't hear back. How do I feed my family? So keep all those things in mind as
All the voices.
all the voices in your head. They're talking to yourself, things you hear that say, hey, something must be wrong if I don't hear any news. Not always no news is good news. Not when someone's waiting for a response to purchase something that big, whether it's a car, a house. People want to know.
Do you think the anxiety levels of home purchasing is um high also because there's a lot of people involved in it. Like I'm thinking there's a buyer, there's a seller,
So
there's a
yeah, I
realtor, there's
think,
another realtor.
and in this, yeah, I agree with you 100%. In this market, where contracts aren't extended out anymore, right? There's such a low inventory. I think it's even more anxiety than ever. People are afraid to lose their earnest money deposit, their down payment on the house. Realtors are afraid the house is going to get sold to someone else if they're like the second party in the transaction. So there is some anxiety. There's a lot of competition out there. And once a homeowner sets their mind on something, that's their home. That's their,
Huh.
before they buy it, that's their home. And to change that because of the fact that you didn't deliver, it's heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking.
Meaning like I'm a homeowner, I'm putting in that offer. I'm part of the reason I'm putting it in is because I made the decision. This is mine now.
This is mine. Mentally,
That's why I
you're
would even part
attached.
with the money.
You're attached. You gave an earnest money deposit. You put your application in there. The broker, the loan officer said that you're probably going to qualify more than likely. Here's your pre-approval. Now, as a lender or as an account executive, I drag my feet and not responsive. There's an opportunity within 30 days I may lose. I may lose that home or that transaction.
Pride. I might feel proud, that it's now mine. So proud, right? I have
Absolutely.
something there's like ownership in that even before it. I have another question for you. Also, now I've got to present, let's say documents, right? To prove that I'm worthy or less of a risk. I want your thoughts on this. That could lead me to have to confront things that I haven't even thought of. Like now I'm looking at things and thinking about things that myself and my family we haven't even thought of, or like bank accounts and business and money. That also could create anxiety or stress. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Because most buyers, and future homeowners, it's the one transaction, the only transaction. So they have never been through the process. Initially, everyone's selling, right? The realtor's selling. You like the house. I love it. I want to buy it. The LO's selling. Hey, I'm gonna get you a good rate. How much money do you make? Oh, I make $120,000 a year. Okay, you'll definitely qualify. That's the message. So I got the realtor saying yes, I gave my deposit. I've got the LO saying I'll definitely qualify based on my credit score, my FICO score, as well as what I, said I make, not taking into consideration small businesses, write-offs, tax implications, not sure what else is going on, right? Just the cookie cutter. I make X, my credit score is X. Everyone gives you that reassuring that you're going to get this house.
Everyone's agreeing.
Everyone's agreeing. So now what do? You go out and you tell your family, you tell your friends, I'm buying this house. They say I qualify. And now the pressure starts when they start questioning your income, the amount of hours that you work, really getting granular on your income, saying, well, wait a minute, you switched jobs 18 months ago. What's going on with the previous employment? Is it consistent? A lot of things that could change in a file. That's why it's so important for LOs to say it's a pre-approval and not guaranteeing approval until the loan gets into a lender and actually gets a physical approval and the loan's conditioned.
Do you think there's pressure on the officer in that regard at some level to want to earn the business to maybe
Yeah, if it isn't a relationship, there's a lot of pressure. And I think that's why it's
because I've
key. We
seen it
started
very
this off with a
competitive.
relationship, right? A relationship is amazing. A relationship with the realtor, relationship with the lender, all that's important because now you got a good feel on whether or not this loan's going to get approved. Now, for the LOs that don't have relationships, the realtors that don't have relationships, now you have no idea what you're going to get. There's over 250 lenders out there and, mortgage realtor, you have no idea. That's why it's so important. So you say, hey, listen, I've been down this road with this lender, with this realtor, with this loan officer. I got a high probability of getting this loan approved because I've had the same scenario multiple times or at least once.
How inevitable could conflict be in that process?
The conflict is, I think the conflict is going to be in a conflict is more than anything else. The guidelines are the guidelines. The conflict in a conflict is going to be with the borrower, unfortunately. They're going to start, like you said earlier, second guessing themselves like, whoa, wait a minute. Why are they asking me these questions? Now, the LO's job, obviously, to be clear and concise about what you need and why you need it. And that's when I talk about the education portion of it. The education doesn't stop at the account executive. It doesn't stop at the LO. They need to also educate the borrower.
What you need and why you need it.
Absolutely.
How does that help?
I think that pushes the process along. One, you're clear and concise. It puts them at ease. It's not out of the ordinary because most people are feared by something that's not ordinary. And you let them know that this is something that's part of the process.
Mm.
All right, guess what? You switched jobs 18 months ago. We just didn't know who your previous employer was. Explain it to them. Not why are they asking about my previous employer? I've been on this job 18 months. To them, 18 months is probably pretty solid time.
Yeah.
I've made the same paycheck for the last 18 months. Why is that an issue? So be clear. It's part of the process. It's a standard. This is what FHA requires. This is what conventional loans require because there's different requirements with different types of loan. This is what USDA requires.
Mm.
Your loan's going to go to USDA and it may take 3 or 4 days where a traditional loan like an FHA loan, we can get you an answer in 1 day, 2 days. So those things that, set the mind at ease, later build the relationship and get you the referral. And also build the bridge between, it's the account executive's job to explain to the LO the process as well, so that they're at ease. Hey, this is what our company, because some companies do have overlays. Hey, guess what? This is what my company asked for this situation. So continue to bridge that gap so that you guys have a clear understanding of what both sides need, and then that relationship will flourish.
Is that how would you say, is it a partnership? Or like what degree of a partnership, or like between a loan officer and an account executive?
It
They're
should be a
working together.
partnership. It should be a partnership. Sometimes it's a one-way relationship where someone will send you what they have to send you. I think someone should send you, if it's a partnership, they'll send you everything that they can send you. And I think that's the difference. And that's what we try to work with an EPM and say, hey, listen, get into a shop, build that relationship. And in a true partnership, they'll send you everything that they can send you, not what they have to send you. And I'll work the same thing with a realtor. If you're a good LO, a realtor will build that relationship with any loan that they get, they'll send it to you. And if you can get it done, guess what? You'll get that file.
So let's say a loan officer that works as a partner with a realtor. Is there some, I'm just wondering if I'm grasping at this, but like the account executive working with the loan officer working with the realtor, are there any commonalities with that? If I'm a loan officer, I want to build that partnership with the realtor so they trust me to send
Right.
their stuff.
And that's
I'm an
absolutely
account executive. I want to build that relationship with the loan officer so they send me their stuff. It's like a synergistic ecosystem.
100%. It's the same relationship, just two different functions. I think, it's really about the communication, it's delivery, not over promising. Like I said earlier, being clear and concise about what you're going to deliver, when you're going to deliver it, so they can set the right expectations to the attorneys, to the borrower, whoever it may be. If you say
What do
it's
you
24 hours, it's 24 hours.
what's that adage about, like, do what you say, or say what you do? Maybe that's it. Do what you say what you
Say
do.
what you do.
Do it. So yeah, not over promising. What are some of the ways that people end up over promising, even unintentionally? That could be blind spots.
It's most inexperienced, or I don't want to say desperate salespeople are looking for deals. They'll say they can deliver something faster than they can deliver it, because speed kills. So they're figuring if I can tell you 24 hours and everyone else is 48 hours, once the deal's in house and I take 40 hours, hey, what's the big deal? The big deal is that you lose that future relationship. You promised something that you couldn't deliver. Because I could have an option that maybe could have came out in 36 hours, but you told me 24. So I'm up against the clock, up against a contract, a borrower who may have multiple lenders out there, multiple LOs out there who are searching for their business. And now as an LO, as an account executive, I tell you it's 24 hours, you tell your borrower it's 24 hours. They had two options. It all trickles downhill. All trickles downhill. Bad information. Now they're upset across the board. Now the LO doesn't get a referral. The LO will never come back to you again as an account executive and won't use your lender again. So the best thing to be is honest. If it's 4 days, it's 4 days, and I'm going to do the best that I can to get it out sooner. Now you under promise, over deliver.
How important are values in that role?
Values everything. You have to be able to be truthful, and people have to be able to trust you, and you have to be able to be honest. So values, it's not just sales. Sales is more knowledge and experience than anything else. The more experience you have, the more knowledge you gain, you can do the sales job.
Mm.
Like you said, the values is where it is, the fundamentals, things that you're born with, the grit. Those are the things that, values and grit. Anyone can learn a business, anyone can have the terminology, anyone can get in front of someone and at some point get comfortable enough to talk about guidelines and product and things like that. But do you have the grit, the will, and the values, as you stated, to really build a relationship and get that job done?
Is it possible to have long-term working relationships?
Absolutely. I got long-term relationships from 20 plus years ago. Even though
Whoa.
we're not role anymore, I've passed those on to other people who still reach out to me
Wow.
periodically to check in, but they're still clients of mine that have been clients for many years through different organizations that I've been at, whether I was sales or I was in leadership. And that's just the trust. That's just the trust that they can pick up the phone and call you and say, "Hey, I need help with this," or who
Mm.
who could you really give me a referral to? Who can help me out as account executive in my area?
How about the is it a lot of conversation? A lot of my vision of that would be like I'm on the phone a lot or I'm talking to a lot of people. Is if that's the case, how does one balance their energy or something as subtle as even stay hydrated or keep their energy high to do that? I'm thinking like if I must be on the phone a lot, talking to a lot of people, being accessible. If I'm learning, being
Yeah,
accessible, being a resource, being knowledgeable. I'm on the phone. Talk is that the case?
it's
I'm
structure.
talking to them.
It's really about structure. Really about structuring your day, your week, making sure you spend time one, building relationships, continue to build those bridges for the ones that you don't have, and then managing your business as well to make sure that your clients are up to date on what's going on with their files.
Mm.
So whether it's an hour here, an hour, how you structure it, it doesn't matter. I think, it's making sure that you carve out that appropriate time, and then checking in. The brokers that you've known for a long time who haven't sent you a deal. It's always good to say, "Hey, Jay, what's going on, buddy? How's the family? What's going on?" Just staying top of mind,
Mm.
right? Sometimes you don't have to ask for a deal to get a deal. It's really just being top of mind and checking in with the people that you know and have those relationships with. Like, "Oh
Mm.
shit, I'm glad you called me. Glad you called me. I actually had a deal."
Can there be like a mentor mentee relationship in that role? The reason I ask that is because it seems like if the loan, let's say the loan officer, they're an advisor, if I understand this correctly, to the borrower, if they're really, just from a standpoint of they know things that the borrower doesn't know.
Right.
So structurally, there's a degree of advisory, even if they don't even consider themselves a fiduciary or something. Like they're advising them on, this or that or that or this, right? Okay. So, now they're also going to be getting the capital from somewhere. So if the account executive they're a steward in a sense of that capital, if they're facilitating it.
Right.
So is that can that be the context of the relationship too, where the account executive is an advisor or positioned as an advisor?
I think anyone that touches a mortgage or a purchase or refinance and that in the process is an advisor. Is an advisor. We call them account executives because that's the terminology that's been used throughout the industry for years. But if you're doing the job correctly, and we talked about earlier, being a resource, you're an advisor. You're telling an LO how to structure the deal best to get the best potential answer or approval. They're advising the LO, I'm sorry, the client on their side. Hey, this is what you'll need, whether it's 12-month rent checks. Can you get this prior to the submission saying, hey, this is your best chance at qualifying if you had X? Well, it's a non-occupant co-borrower, co-signer, add your wife, remove your wife, whatever it is to put you in the best light of the lender to get an approval. And a
What's
lot
the
of,
or
yeah,
go ahead.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, and that comes with that's part of the job as well, which is reviewing scenarios. and asking the ELO, send over the credit, send over the application prior to submission. So that makes sure that your first look by an underwriter is your best look. This is what you need to submit the file to get a clean approval. All right, this lady may need assets. Can she get a gift from a parent? That's the advisement we're talking about. Hey, before you put this on the underwriter's desk and the loan gets suspended, what's going to build anxiety for your borrower, I advise you to get a co-borrower. I advise you to get more assets somehow. Do they have a 401k? Build a case for your borrower before it goes to the underwriter. And that's the advisement. I think that needs to happen in every transaction. And that's how you build those relationships.
I'm visualizing like, okay, borrower, realtor. Borrower looks at realtor as if they respect them,
Sure.
if they see them as more than kind of like a means to an end, but more of like an advisor. Let's say that that's the like they respect the realtor the way they might respect their accountant or their attorney, right? So now that relationship is built on, let's say, trust and respect. Now the realtor, so like let's say, but structurally, so the realtor is above, like structurally, like or hierarchically, the realtor is above the borrower because they've submitted their ego because they might be really good at like what they do.
Right.
They're saying, you know what, I'm a neurosurgeon, but in this case of buying my house, I'm going to submit my ego, and you're the advisor, right? You're the realtor.
Right.
So they respect them. So hierarchically, it's the realtor here and the borrower underneath them from a hierarchy. But the realtor's values, they might serve them where they feel like a partner, meaning they're working for them. So their values, they come alongside them as a teammate. So it doesn't feel like top down. And it also doesn't feel like the realtor is subservient to the borrower, or
Right.
like they feel like.
I think there is some sort of equality there for the fact that I'm giving you the parameters around what I'm looking for based on my income, my needs, things like that. So there is some sort of equality, I think, between the realtor and the borrower, but there is a slight edge for their professionalism and what they know and gain that says, all right, maybe it's not so equal, but from a knowledge standpoint of what I'm looking for, I think it's kind of a weird dynamic.
Like so let's say that that's the case, right, where the borrower respects and trust the realtor
Yeah.
professional. So that
I think
the
that's what
relationship
respect more
starts,
than anything. Correct.
yeah, respect and trust, and so they work as, it's like it's the values of a partnership. Now the loan officer, the loan officer is, and the realtor, the question becomes, is that, is that a partnership, or is that, there's going to be a
That's
power dynamic, right? Because
right.
if the realtor has the trust and respect of the borrower, they might have more power, or let's say, to simplify it,
Right.
the
Yeah.
loan officer has to develop some type of, like a relationship of respect and trust with the realtor, so that they're working like almost as partners on the realtor's client, because
Absolutely.
now it's going to become the loan officer's client too.
Exactly. And that's the
Okay.
trust that we're talking that the LO can deliver. Because I brought this client in who's hot and heavy to buy this house. We found the house, 1 out of 4. We whittled it down. We found the number one house. This is their house, their dream home. My client's ready to go, excited. I got to pass that trust along to you now.
Yeah, that must take a lot.
You are me.
We're a team.
We're a team. I need to trust you with my client.
But inherently, implicitly, like, I don't, I'm not you, you're not me, meaning we do different roles. So it might be like, sports, like I hate your team.
Right.
Like or I hate tennis. I'm a football player. Like I'm not even, so that could be like, because we're in two different worlds. We're in two different
Two
universes.
different worlds.
It's
With
hard
the
to,
same common goal, though, right? To deliver financing.
the
The
same common
person.
goal. Tough to empathize when I haven't lived in your life. Like that's really a challenge to value. So I'm trying to. This is
It
like
comes with
helping
it
me
comes with a huge
visualize.
responsibility for the LO because now
Yeah, what happened?
A lot of the times, the realtor is removed from the process while the LO and the borrower continue the transaction, right? They're not involved in the financing. So it's a referral.
So the loan officer is acting as a babysitter to my child,
Right, exactly.
but my
100%.
child's still in the womb.
It's still the move. Right. I love
I
that.
mean, this seems like a scenario bound for conflict.
And a lot of times, if you don't do the right thing when no one's looking, like they say, it can be a lot of conflict. And that's why it's important for it to be seamless for the borrower between the lender, the LO, and the realtor. If you can master that relationship with trust and honesty, this process is a beautiful process, and the borrower end up happy at the end of the day. The problem is when people aren't honest. I hear it all the time. The realtor calls because the LO didn't tell him X, didn't deliver the full information. He told me the loan CTC'd. Oh, the LO just submitted documents yesterday. He told me the loan's clear to close. Well, you know what? The real truth is he submitted the documents for a clear to close, but hasn't been signed off on yet. So, we're not here to throw the LO under the bus, but we see the conflict starting to generate because of the fact that there isn't honesty, isn't truth. Someone didn't deliver on their part in the time frame that they said, or the manner that they said they did or would.
Is there is there possibility in scenarios where a loan officer, uh, depending on the respect and trust they have with their account executive, they could easily set expectations that are out of their control.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
say,
Absolutely. And every lender is going to have times where there's a hiccup or maybe delays or something that's out of their
so
control.
that can create even more.
Absolutely. It is an influx of business. It's the end of the month. Guess what? Everyone's closing on the 31st. So sometimes we'll roll over, but that's an account executive's job to make sure that they're aware of, hey, deadlines are coming. We need conditions by this
I
day.
got another thought.
Sure.
What could there be at some of the relationship that the loan officer has with their realtor partners increase or decrease, or have a increase or decrease the difficulty of the account executives working with the loan officer? I'll give you an example. Let's say I have a loan officer that has um, that is not respected and trusted by their realtors. How hard is it going to be, harder or less hard, for the account executive to serve that loan officer?
If they're not respected by the
Yeah,
real
like
estate,
I'm trying to think, like
right?
understand like this.
Well,
If the
you got
loan officer, right, has a weaker relationship with the realtor, then in like they're going to be reacting to that, and then the account executive is going to be reacting to their reacting.
absolutely, and I think
So
that's what causes a lot of issues for a
how
lender.
do we help that? So that, yeah, that would be the, what are things that we can do to help the loan officer be respected and trusted by the realtor, which obviously this is where it gets more. I'm just trying to follow this thread. The realtor's relationship with the borrower also impacts that.
Right.
If the realtor is not respected by the borrower, so let's say the realtor has to, they're respected, they're seen an advisor, they have trust. That translates to the loan officer based on how well they translate that back. Then that also impacts the account executive, which impacts the loan officer, which impacts the realtor. What are your thoughts? Like, I'm trying to
Yeah,
follow the thread all the way through the ecosystem of
yeah.
these
I think
relationships.
if you have a relationship with the loan officer, one, they're gonna let you know their relationship with the realtor, if there is one at all. They should say, hey, listen, this is a new realtor. We haven't done a lot of business together. I'm trying to win this guy, but what can you do to help me? And then there's cases where, guess what? If there's a room, the wiggle room to escalate a file to help them with a new relationship, that's brought to me or someone else in the organization. Say, hey, listen, let's try to help this guy out with a new relationship. It could potentially bring him in more business, strengthen our relationship, which brings us as an organization more business. So you could do that. It's not something that happens often. Obviously, everyone's not a new relationship. Sometimes people cry wolf in some situations, unfortunately, and they can be abusive with it. But we absolutely look to help out a realtor and a LO relationship if we can and accommodate that. And it's just us, like I said, it's being transparent. Hey, listen, let them know. Turn times for initial approval are generally 48 hours. We're going to try to push this out within 24 hours, try to help you guys.
Hmm.
Anything that we can do, right? A relationship that they build, it strengthens their relationship. It's going to strengthen my relationship and the AE's relationship as well.
Hmm.
It's all beneficial to the whole transaction.
What are some of the best traits of like the loan officers that are the most successful with their account executives? So, so they ultimately succeed at the highest level.
Yeah, I think it goes back to relationship. If you deal with 40 different lenders based on price, you'll never be able to deliver the service to someone who has two or three main lenders who actually know the process, you know, what an approval is going to look like, what the expectations are going to be for certain types of loan. So the consistency that you have with your lender will help you strengthen relationships with your realtors and your borrowers.
Hmm.
You know what to expect. You know what to deliver on. And like any relationship, if I do multiple deals with you, Jay, or I
Yeah.
only do one deal with, ABC lender, I have more credibility with you. If you need a favor, you need a rush, you need an explanation. Not saying that a new broker who's coming on to build that relationship, then the loan's not important, but volume and building relationship long term, obviously, you're more apt to say, listen, all right, I need a favor.
What do you think about the loan officer that has uh, dozens and dozens of realtor relationships and also dozens and dozens of lender relationships?
Dozens and dozens of realtor relationships is good, right? You've built a reputation where people trust you.
Got it.
Not every lender is built the same. You might need a non-QM lender. You might need a lender that specializes in, government lending, maybe one conventional lender, or maybe you have one guy you can trust with everything, and they're an all-in lender. But to have, five lenders that do conventional, five lenders that do non-QM, learning to structure a deal and set the proper expectations is more difficult in that situation. You really
Is
want to
that
narrow it down to
because
someone.
that's because the what and the how, clarifying, like communicating and clarifying the what and the how to the borrower is going to be key with
Absolutely.
building trust and respect, not only for the borrower but with the realtor, so that everybody's on the same page and the
Absolutely.
deal is one.
Yeah. Once you've been in this business for, you know, I'll say 18 months, you've pretty much seen, you know, as an account executive, every type of credit score, every type of FICO, every type of income documentation. So you kind of get a good feel and a gauge of what we're going to look at from a company standpoint.
Oh, and that could be valuable to the loan officer to kind of
Absolutely.
read
Absolutely.
minds and make moves, and
Absolutely.
that's
So
where that
now,
advisory piece comes in.
right, that's when the advisory piece comes in. So now when you see this scenario come over, this type of borrower, the likelihood of approval, what you need to get the fastest and cleanest approval so you can get this thing to the table as fast as possible. And that's the advisement that you give to the LO. And they'll feel confident going to their realtor and said, hey, Jay at X lender, I know that he can deliver this loan in 21 days if I follow these 5 steps or these 6 steps or get this documentation. And it's comforting because his experience, his history.
I would think that if I'm a loan officer and I have low trust for those that are providing capital, I'd want as many as possible
Well,
until someone changes my mind. I'd be like, I'm dating,
absolutely. Well,
like I'm
initially,
just dating, I'm on, the apps and I'm swiping. I'm not interested in another
swipe
relationship.
it. I like it.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm not
I
interested in
swipe
getting
through
my
my
head
lenders
again.
until, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in a deep, I'm going to have low trust until
Right.
I fall in love.
And
So,
that's generally how it works. And that's the account executive to grab that individual, bring them in,
hmm.
give them the ultimate experience, right? Advise them.
Sorry, I just had like an epiphany.
Go ahead.
But the account executive can't be a gigolo.
Exactly.
Meaning like, if I, yeah, like meaning this is where you're saying tell the truth, be transparent. Like they got to be in it for a long-term relationship
Right.
because I can't lead on this swiper. They think, oh, this could be the one, but it's like, nah,
And
that's a good
that's
time.
exactly what happens at several different companies that I've worked at, where they were the gigolo. It doesn't work service-wise from an account executive
Oh
standpoint,
man, that's
right?
wild.
So you need to say, hey, listen, I'm going to cap my relationships at X, because once I get to X number of relationships, it's going to tough me to give those that A1 service. So you have to be fair to your client.
The
So
ability to say no and yes, to juggle the two. That's got to be tough though for people to confront that are account executives if let's say that they have to first get chosen, right? Like work for the business, like meaning you're not saying no to everybody. You're trying to
no,
get
you're
people to say
saying
yes
yes.
to
You're saying
you.
yes to everyone, right? Initially, as a green account executive, you're saying yes to everyone.
So how do we navigate that evolution, right? Of going from yes, right, the radical yes to a discernible no, a mature no. That would be there's got to be nuance in that and
Absolutely.
experience and wisdom
It's
to navigate.
experience, it's time frame, it's historical data. It's really going in and looking at what someone's sending you. It's kind of what I alluded to earlier. I said, you know what? Are they sending you what they have to, or everything that they can't? And that's the difference. And you'll realize that over 6, 12, 18 months. And as you grow your business and you start to say, is this a relationship? Is it one way? Are they just sending me this? Am I giving them time that I could really be dedicating to a true partnership? And sometimes that answer is yes. And maybe that guy can go on to another account executive and that relationship flourishes. And guess what? There's a partnership there, and not just one of those guys that send you, the tough deal that they can't get done anywhere else.
Hmm. This is like a master class.
It's, as you know, it comes with experience. And I think when you start to fine tune
Hmm.
and have experiences with different type of lenders, different type of LOs, different type of broker shops, and sellers on the non-delegated side, uh, you start to see what's important to them, and then what's important to your organization, and what's important to kind of make the machine go. And with that experience, you can kind of give these guys the advisement. The fortunate thing about myself and the people that I work with, most of them were in the sales position. So it's not us just, saying, hey, this is what you do on a day-to-day basis. This is what we experience. And guess what? Times do change. Technology changes a lot of the job and things like that, but the fundamentals stay the same. And the fundamentals is, being an advisor, like we spoke about, being honest, delivering on what you can deliver on, when you're supposed to deliver it on. If you can't, pick up the phone and say, hey, Mr. Broker, guess what? I know I was supposed to be out yesterday by 5 o'clock, but it's going to be 10 o'clock this morning, unfortunately, because we had a little, stumbling block on whatever it may be. But be honest. People appreciate that. And I think that's what works long term.
So if I'm an account executive, I want to make my LO look like a rock star to the realtor.
100%. 100%. But like I tell those guys, don't give them false expectations, right? If when you bring something in, stay on top of it, be honest, but don't look to give them an expectation and push a loan through faster than normal. Because now their first experience is great. Their second experience may be normal, but doesn't feel as good as their first experience. So give
Yeah.
them true turn times, give them the true experience. Make sure we don't fumble the ball anywhere throughout the process. That's the critical part. But give them the true honest turn time so that every single transaction that they have with us can be similar, or continue to progressively get better.
And then, of course, the efficiency of the organization is going to impact that.
100%.
How honest someone has to be and how quick.
In each department. So, and that is, your offense and defense, right? As an account executive, that's your quarterback, your operations team, your account managers, your underwriters, your closing, your post closing. Everyone plays a major role in this. And I think that partnership internally and externally is what really gets the job done.
Trust and respect internally, offense, defense, is going to armor the account executive to be the most value rooted, direct, accessible. From you're saying direct,
Confident
accessible,
and confident.
confident. Like I might really need this business, but I'm not going to do anything desperate.
Right. You have to have confidence with your internal partners that you can go out and sell it to your external partners.
Mm.
And that's a work in progress. That's a different partnership. And that's partially on you as a salesperson, learning the intricacies of the process, being honest, right? Not putting the pressure on your operations team because you've, made the wrong assumption on what the turn times might be or the expectation might be, and now you're asking for favor and pushing the envelope, things like that. That comes with experience
Oh,
as
I
well.
see. Yeah.
So that internal relationship is so important and maybe more important than the external relationship because that's how you get your repeat business.
You mean, for example, if I get overpromised to my if I
Your loan officer.
overpromise to my loan officer, I might put too much downward pressure on my ops
Absolutely.
to
Happens all
make
the time.
me live up to my
Because what
expectations.
you're trying to do, if you're a new account executive or someone in a new relationship, you're trying to impress them.
Yeah.
But that pressure in turn you're putting on your operations team because you're putting it out of the normal turn times.
And they may just do it to appease me, or do their best to do it and say
Yeah,
nothing.
absolutely.
They were
Even if
great
whether you're
speakers
great,
because they're
you could be the number one account executive or the number 81, right? But they still may do it to appease you and say, hey, all right, let me get this guy out of a jam. But what does that do to everyone else? Is
that
it
might be their love language.
100%?
I mean, ops
That
people tend to like to bail out.
some people can't say no.
Yeah, or that's where they get their, even their rocks off, try to like solve that problem,
Right.
and they might go down with the ship kind of thing. So
Absolutely.
how important is it for those two for that communication then, for there to be trust between the support to the account executives?
Right. It's that delivery, they have to be honest also because it all flows. If I go to an underwriter or an account manager and they say, hey, the Smith loan will be out on tomorrow by 11, I trust that that's accurate. Now I take that information, I pass that on to the LO, who passes it on to the realtor, who passes it on to the borrower.
Oh boy, it's like hot potato.
So the expectation set to the borrower that's going to be out by 11. 2:30 comes, the borrower don't get the answer. What are they doing? Anxiety. Realtor, anxiety. LO, why'd you choose that lender? AE, you told
Oh,
me yesterday. What happened?
and when people are anxious and they don't have enough trust in the relationship, they go to other people
Absolutely.
to vent. And
Absolutely.
that's that drama triangle that is talked about in all different ways throughout. Everywhere I go, I hear that in a different way, But it's ultimately when we're
The
anxious,
victim. The victim.
yeah, we don't have enough trust. We're just going to go to somebody else.
Right.
And
And no one wants to be the bad guy. So, what's the realtor say? Well, let me find out what happened with my LO. The LO, what happened? Let me find out. This is the AE. Because no one, at the end of the day, this is a referral business. No one wants to be caught holding the bag.
yeah,
So that's why I'd say it's so important on every level, from operations to the sales to the LO to the realtor, that everyone have honest, open conversation
the
and
account executive is
meet
like the rabbi.
expectations. There's gonna be times when unfortunately you can't meet expectations. There's gonna be things that happen. But if you can meet expectation at a high percentage of the time, whether it's 80, 90%, I'm not sure what that number will be,
Yeah.
you'll continue to secure and build those relationships.
What do you love most about the role of the account executive?
I think it's a challenge. I think, coming in every day and, you know, maintaining these relationships, I think there's a sense of joy and pride in someone that trusts you with their business. When you have that long-term relationship, when someone can call you after 5 years and say, hey, I got a deal. I need you to, where you been? Oh, listen, you know, I left the industry and I was selling cars for a while. Now I'm back, right? Price rates are going down. I'm back in. Help me out. You're the first person they trust, or, deliver, know that you'll deliver no matter what and have their best interest at heart. I think that's the best thing about, being an account executive.
Hmm.
And we got some great ones. We got some great ones with some long relationships and people that can go in and really wow a room and, wow individuals and build those bonds regardless of who they are. I think that's exciting. It's exciting to see young people come into the industry and find success.
Hmm.
People that never knew anything about mortgages to learn and, buy in on the process and the knowledge that you need to be successful. To see people, I tell you, the industry got old for a long time, and I think we're starting to see some younger individuals come into the industry, and it's exciting to see. I got some of the guys that sit outside my office. We're making a great living and a great business.
Wow. What are you most excited for 2025?
Personally, I think, I think, I haven't said EPM at all, I think, on this call. I think we're in a great position to really go to the next level. I think people know about EPM, our brand, where we've come in the last couple of years that I've been here in 3 years. I think we've turned the company around tremendously. There's a lot of trust out there. I would say fear, you know. I think that's something you got to deal with. It's an inner conflict if you get fear. I think, but there's a lot of trust out there in EPM and what we do and how we do it. I think there's a lot of market share that we can gain. And I think, volume speaks volumes. I think the more volume you do, that's your best marketing tool out there. And I think that's why we're growing so fast, because people are hearing that we're delivering. We have a great sales organization with great leadership, and we're barely scratching the surface. We're not a top 5 lender yet, but we're going to be there. I think 2025 and the end of this year, we continue to grow. We're growing at a rapid pace. I think it's like, I can't remember what the number is right now, but it's insane. We've grown probably 40% year over year. So it's exciting. It's exciting. And that's what can get you up in the morning and get your blood pumping, is that, what? There is no ceiling for us. There's so much opportunity below and above us when you stack rank lenders. It's just really continue to do the right thing. Continue to be trustworthy. Continue to let people lean on you for advice and advisement. So now we're entering trade show season. We're going out there, continue to, beat the pavement and build these relationships, talk to people that we haven't talked to. And guess what? The people that we know, continue to build that relationship and say, hey, I appreciate you. Because a lot of it's appreciation. They don't have to send their business to you. This is a two-way street, this partnership. And we do appreciate everyone that works with us. And we don't, we're not entitled. We want to continue to earn your business and do the right thing.
Man, this was awesome. This is like a masterclass, in my view, in the industry. I'm so glad that we got to do this. We have to do this again much sooner. Episode 184. If you're listening to this, go check out that very different episode, and then come back, swing around, and get some lessons on how to be an advisor, be a partner to your team from Kenny. Thanks so much for coming on.
Appreciate you, brother. This was awesome.
Yeah, I got so many more questions. We'll do this again, part 2. The executive culture.
This was great. This was great.
Thank you all for listening to the Culture Matters podcast. We will see you next time. Please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast, and we will see you next time. Thank you. Thanks, brother.
Thanks.